I seen the ugliness to addiction. When the first time I smoked weed, that I felt like this peace, I enjoyed the feeling. I was always looking for acceptance to my friends. I was always looking for a father or a friend or an older brother or someone to comfort me. Growing up in high school, I didn't care about school. I would just skip school and get high. By the time I was like a sophomore in school, I was like a full-blown alcoholic. I didn't care, I was just angry and bitter. I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about myself. I just cared about getting high, whether it was stealing from my mom to breaking into cars, and to smoke weed, to drink, to have money, because I always felt like I never had the support of anybody, my mom, my father. So, as I grew older, I just started drinking more, partying more, and I remember we moved to another side of town, and I felt like the people that I was around, like I can relate to all these people. They all like to smoke weed and party, and they were hurting deep inside. So we always had like a point of like comprehension with one another, When I became 18, I remember I was partying in a trailer somewhere and went to jail that night. I blacked out drunk, woke up in jail, and my life came upside down. I woke up and I was wearing an orange jumpsuit, and I was just in confusion and chaos, and somebody told me that I was looking at prison time. And I just remember that I wanted God so bad, but I couldn't stop getting high. I was living a double lifestyle of mine, trying to get high, and it was just leading me down a path of destruction. And I just remember being tormented in my mind by the enemy, by fear, just empty and feeling rejected by life. I just felt like I had nobody, I had nothing, like I burned every bridge in my life. Like I done pushed everybody away with my addiction. It was very tough. And I would go to this church, but I always wanted to get close to God, but I didn't know how. I didn't really know God. I knew about God, but I never personally encountered him. I just knew that he was calling me. I remember this particular Wednesday recovery night. I went into church and I sat down, and the pastor, he was giving an altar call, and he was asking somebody, if you want to give your life to Christ, to come up to the altar. And I remember that I needed God. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I remember I wanted to get up, but I just remember feeling bound to my chair. I felt like I couldn't get up, like something was weighing me down. I just had this desperation to want to get to God. But, I just remember the pastor, he just locked eyes on me, and it was like a big church. And I just remember seeing God on his face, having compassion and just walking to me with like love and grace and mercy of God. I knew this is what I needed. I remember when he came up to me and he put his hand on my shoulder, and I felt like chains fell off of my arms and my feet, and I got up. He helped me get up, and he walked me to the altar. And I remember when I was in the altar that he asked me if I wanted to accept Christ into my life. I remember the feeling of encountering God and him coming into my life. His magnificent power, this high that I've been looking for. I remember being instantly sobered and filled with love. I remember sitting there on my knees crying. There was rivers flowing out of my face. I encountered God, and that night went into rehab, not knowing what deliverance was. It was the last day I ever got high. It was the last day I ever drank alcohol. It was the last day that I ever had to live that kind of lifestyle. And now I've been clean and sober for 8 years here in July. It's been the best decision of my life to follow Christ. I noticed that I was delivered, that I was set free, that I no longer needed to get high or drink to satisfy myself, that I had a purpose and a plan, and that God had a plan for my life. And it was since I made that move, I found people that were going through the same things